Hey everyone, and welcome to another mini deep dive.
Yeah,
Perfect for those short on time, but big on learning, you know.
absolutely.
Today we're tackling those unsung heroes of the tech world, server engineers. Keeping our digital lives running smoothly. And to help us navigate this, we've got some awesome insights from theperfectdeveloper.com.
A great resource.
Seriously, if you're looking for top tech talent, that's the place to be. But hey, speaking of finding the right people,
Yeah.
want to skip the hiring headache and get straight to the perfect match? Head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and try the 5 questions. It's quick, easy, and puts you on the path to building your dream team.
Okay, so server engineers, what's the deal? What do they actually do all day?
We know how front-end developers are like the architects designing those beautiful websites we all love.
Yeah, I get that.
Well, server engineers are like the structural engineers, making sure the foundation is rock solid. They're managing the servers, networks, operating systems, the whole behind-the-scenes magic that powers everything we see and interact with online.
So they're not just building websites like some other developers. Exactly. They're deep in the back end, working with databases, setting up secure connections, and making sure your website can handle those crazy traffic spikes without crashing. Think Black Friday online sales.
Ah, okay. So they're the ones we call when things go wrong, like in the middle of the night.
Well, ideally, they've already anticipated and prevented those problems. Their job is to be proactive, ensuring your digital infrastructure is robust and can scale as your business grows.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But we keep talking about different types of developers. So how does server engineer skills differ from, say, someone coding a mobile app?
That's a great question. It all comes down to specialization. You see, other developers might focus on user interfaces and apps using languages like JavaScript or Python, but server engineers, they're fluent in the language of servers, often Linux or Windows Server, and they're masters of cloud platforms like AWS or Azure. Plus, they know scripting languages for automation. It's a whole different world back there.
That sounds like it. But let's get down to brass tacks. What kind of salary are we talking about for these server gurus?
Well, that's where things get a little tricky. The range is pretty wide depending on experience, skills, location. ThePerfectDeveloper.com really stresses this. You know, those with specialized cloud certifications or experience with high traffic complex systems, they're going to command top dollar.
So you're saying don't skimp on talent when it comes to server engineers.
Absolutely. Think of it as an investment. A highly skilled server engineer can save you so much money and headaches down the road. Preventing downtime and ensuring your website scales as your business grows, it's worth it.
Okay, so we've got a handle on what they do and why they're valuable. But how do you actually hire one of these folks? Is it always full-time or are there other options?
Oh, there are definitely a few ways to approach this, and theperfectdeveloper.com does a great job laying out the pros and cons of each. You've got full-time, part-time, in-house teams outsourcing. It really comes down to your specific needs and budget.
Hmm, that's a lot to consider.
It is. But before we dive into the hiring maze, let's talk about the most important skills to look for. And I'm not just talking about technical stuff, because a server engineer who can't communicate effectively, that can be a real bottleneck for everyone.
Hmm, okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about those crucial skills and how to spot a fake server engineer right after this.
You know, it's easy to get lost in all the technical stuff
Oh yeah, for sure.
when you're hiring for a role like this, but honestly, some of the most important skills for a server engineer, they're not technical at all.
So you're telling me knowing how to code in Python isn't the only thing that matters?
Well, technical skills are super important, of course, but think about it. Let's say your server crashes in the middle of the night.
Oh man, nightmare scenario.
Right. And your engineer can't explain the problem and the solution to you and the rest of your team.
In a way that we can actually understand.
Exactly. You're going to have a lot of confused people and a lot of unnecessary stress.
So communication is key. That makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. You need someone who can break down those complex technical issues into plain English. You know, whether they're talking to other developers, management, or even clients. And along with that, strong problem-solving skills are a must.
Right, because things are going to go wrong at some point. That's just the nature of technology.
Exactly. And when those inevitable issues pop up, you need someone who can stay calm, think critically, and find creative solutions. You know, theperfectdeveloper.com really emphasizes these softer skills. It's something to keep in mind throughout the whole hiring process.
Okay, so strong communication, problem-solving skills. Got it. But let's be real. There are people out there who can talk a good game. How do we spot those who are all talk and no server action?
Ah, the fake server engineer. It's a classic. This is where experience and a really thorough vetting process come in. Don't just rely on resumes, dig deeper.
Yeah, get into the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. ThePerfectDeveloper.com suggests asking detailed questions about past projects. Focus on specific challenges they faced and how they overcame them.
So concrete examples.
Hmm.
No more vague answers about optimizing server performance.
Right. You want to hear about the specific tools they used, the thinking behind their decisions, and the actual results they achieved. If they can't provide that level of detail, that's a big red flag.
Makes sense. So we know to look for experience and dig deep. But with so many potential candidates out there, where do we even begin the search?
Well, theperfectdeveloper.com is an amazing starting point, of course. But beyond that, think about platforms like LinkedIn. GitHub is great for seeing actual code contributions. And attending industry events can be a fantastic way to network and connect with potential talent face to face.
We've talked about what server engineers do the skills to look for how to spot a fake. But what about location? Do we have to limit ourselves to local talent, or is outsourcing a viable option?
That's a really common question. And theperfectdeveloper.com acknowledges the pros and cons of both approaches. Local talent offers easier communication and being in the same time zone, but it can often come with a higher price tag.
Yeah, I imagine outsourcing can be tempting if you're on a tighter budget.
It definitely can be, but you have to weigh the trade-offs. Communication challenges across time zones, potential cultural differences, and making sure you have good quality control can all be hurdles to overcome.
Sounds like there's no easy answer. Choosing between local and overseas talent depends on a lot of factors specific to each situation.
Exactly. And don't forget about the different hiring models, too. Do you need someone full-time, part-time, or would a project-based contract be a better fit? Again, theperfectdeveloper.com breaks down all the options. It's a great resource.
Wow, so much to consider. This is starting to feel a bit overwhelming.
I know it can be, but there's a way to simplify the whole process, and it starts with getting really clear about your needs.
You mean before we even start looking for candidates?
Absolutely. Sit down and define exactly what you're looking for in a server engineer.
You mean beyond just someone who can keep our website running?
Right. What specific technical skills are absolutely essential? What kind of personality would thrive in your team environment? Do you need someone with experience in a particular industry or with specific cloud platforms? ThePerfectDeveloper.com has a really helpful framework for asking these questions and narrowing down your search.
Okay, so clarity is key.
Yeah.
But let's say we found a few promising candidates. How do we actually evaluate their skills and make sure they're the real deal?
This is where those in-depth interviews and technical assessments are crucial. Don't be afraid to really dig into past projects, ask about their problem-solving process, and even think about giving them coding tests or asking for code samples to see what they can do.
So basically do our homework.
Absolutely. And remember, theperfectdeveloper.com is an incredible resource throughout this entire process. They've got you covered.
Sounds like it. Well, we've covered a lot of ground when it comes to finding the right server engineer. We've talked about their role, the essential skills, the whole hiring maze, and even how to spot a fake. Is there anything else we need to know before we wrap up this deep dive? We've talked about technical skills and hiring strategies and even how to spot a fake. But there's one piece of the puzzle we haven't really touched on.
Oh, and what's that?
It's not just about finding someone with the right technical chops. It's about finding someone who's a good fit for your company culture.
You're absolutely right. It's something that theperfectdeveloper.com talks about too. The best developers aren't just coding machines. They want to work somewhere that aligns with their values, a place where they can grow.
Yeah, it makes sense. Especially these days, developers with those in-demand server skills, they have options. They can afford to be picky about where they work.
Exactly. So how do you make your company stand out? How do you attract and keep those top-tier server engineers? It's not just about free snacks and ping pong tables anymore.
So what is it? What's the secret sauce for creating that kind of environment that makes talented server engineers want to stick around?
Well, theperfectdeveloper.com highlights three key things: flexibility, purpose, and autonomy.
Okay, I like it. Break those down for me.
Sure. So flexibility means offering things like remote work, flexible hours, the ability to adapt to individual needs.
Yeah, the days of everyone being chained to their desk from 9 to 5, I think those are over.
Pretty much. Then you've got purpose-nize. Developers want to feel like their work matters, like they're contributing to something bigger than themselves.
So it's about showing them how their work connects to the company's mission,
Yeah.
how their contributions make a real difference.
Exactly. And then there's autonomy, giving your server engineers the power to make decisions, to take ownership of their projects, and have a real impact on the direction of things.
So it's about trusting them to do what they do best without micromanaging them.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And when you combine those three things, flexibility, purpose, and autonomy, You create a work environment that attracts top talent and keeps them engaged and motivated.
Okay, so we've talked about technical skills, hiring strategies, company culture, even a little bit of psychology. What a whirlwind tour of the server engineer landscape.
It has been. But remember, if you're feeling a bit lost, theperfectdeveloper.com is there to help you every step of the way.
They really do seem like a fantastic resource for anyone who's involved in tech hiring.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this mini deep dive into the world of server engineers, let's recap those key takeaways. First, server engineers, they're the backbone of your digital presence, keeping everything running smoothly and securely behind the scenes. Second, when you're hiring, don't just focus on technical skills. Look for those soft skills too, things like communication and problem solving. And finally, if you want to attract and keep those top-tier server engineers, you need to create a company culture that values flexibility, purpose, and autonomy.
And if you're ready to find the perfect server engineer for your team, head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and answer the 5 questions. It's the easiest way to start building your dream team.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep learning.